With the recent outbreak of COVID-19 and the development of the vaccine, an interest of mine came up in relation to the use of vaccines with animals, specifically apes. And the question came up, why can't humans' closest relatives be vaccinated? According to a research study done about chimps, chimpanzees and humans share approximately 95% of their DNA. In 2010, the apes that remained counted in an institute in the UK said current trends indicate that African ape populations will decline by an additional 80% in the next 30 to 40 years. One type of ape, chimpanzees, have already gone extinct in 4 out of their 25 range countries. Apes have helped our population of humans learn more about our past and our future. Science Advances states that non-human primates, our closest biological relatives, play important roles in the livelihood, cultures, religions of many societies and offer unique insights into human evolution, biology, behavior, and the threat of emerging diseases. Because apes are unable to communicate their stance, I took scientists and researchers who study these apes' opinions to portray to you the effects of apes receiving the COVID-19 vaccine. The fact that gorillas are susceptible to COVID-19 should come as no surprise, says disease oncologist Tony Goldberg. Fortunately, gorillas at zoos have excellent medical care, and most will likely pull through due to the efforts of dedicated veterinarians. That's not the case for gorillas in the wild, though. Apes in the wild cannot socially distance, Goldberg says. Wild gorillas live on razor's edge of survival as they struggle to find food, avoid danger, and adapt to striking habitats, he says. If wild gorillas or other wild apes were to contract COVID, we would expect the consequences to be much worse. The most important thing we can do for our wild primate population is to keep the virus out. Hopefully, these cases can provide some very valuable insight and information on how gorillas respond to this virus so we can better understand the risk it poses to wild ape populations. Though this article doesn't focus on COVID-19 nor vaccines, it provides insight into our past use of experimentation on a specific type of apes, chimpanzees. Most chimpanzees in U.S. laboratories were intentionally given diseases, such as HIV, hepatitis, cancer, respiratory viruses, malaria, and heart disease. Even though advances in technology made these procedures irrelevant, and decades of experimentation determined that these chimpanzees' bodies do not react in the same way to these diseases as humans do. The article starts by describing the prisons that they were kept in and described them as inhumane and unnecessary. The text exposes the treatment in laboratories of our closest living relatives from 1920 to 2015, when experimentation was formally banned in the United States 5 years after the European nation. National Geographic discusses, in a more wide view, the importance that came up for apes to receive the vaccine. For the first time, a group of apes located in the San Diego Zoo had COVID-19 and were the first apes to receive the vaccine. During this process, the realization that apes can in fact get sick from COVID-19 surfaced. This vaccine was developed by the veterinary pharmaceutical company Zoetis, which also develops vaccines for dogs and other animals. Some of the risks mentioned included not knowing what the immune response of these apes would be, as it was an experimentational vaccine, and if it would even help prevent infection. Nadine Lavernsky, the San Diego Zoo's head wildlife health director, talks about how, though there hasn't been an opportunity to get these animals vaccinated this soon, it just shows how it is of the utmost importance. From this uneasy step that Lavernsky took, other zoos have requested the vaccine and have been sharing information with other researchers. The chart above relates to the decline of the ape species. The image to the left represents the population of apes in relation to the regions the apes are located in, where the red bar with numbers represent the percent of the population declining, and the green bar represents the species threatened percentage. Chart number 2, similar to the first, shows the ape species endangered. Threat level is according to the IUCN categories and criteria: VU, meaning vulnerable, EN, endangered, and CR, critically endangered. The number in parentheses after each family indicates the number of species recognized in the family. Notably, there are threatened species in all 16 primate families. 10 families have more than 50% of their species threatened, which is shown at the broken line at 50%. The International Conservation of Nature's Red List of Threatened Species, or IUCN Red List, was established in 1964 and has evolved to become one of the world's most comprehensive information source on the global extinction risk status of animals, fungus, and plant species. The image to the right represents the process and assessment it takes for an animal to be part of the Red List. This process consists of an 8-step thorough assessment from reviewing raw information gathered from SSC specialist groups, RLAs, Red List partners, or IUCN-led assessment projects all the way up to the external assessment shown at the bottom. To the left is one chart presented on the IUCN website discussing specifically the ape population extinction and decrease. Every species of ape is listed as EN endangered with 51% or CR critically endangered taking up 40.4% of all apes. The FMEA, a federal emergency management agency, an official government website, discusses the dangers of a species going extinct. The removal of a single species can set off a chain reaction that can have deleterious effects for the system as a whole. The extinction of these life-threatening apes has a dependency on more than just itself. It can spread to the entirety of the ecosystem. A more confined source talks specifically about a type of ape, the orangutan, and the decline of their species. A 2008 study determined more than 100,000 orangutans had been lost in the past 16 years, while a study in 2017 found that the orangutan population has declined by more than 25% over the past decade. In my opinion, apes should be saved from COVID-19. Though apes are not humans and only our closest living relatives, they are animals that deserve the same rights and benefits as us. Apes being one of the major contributors to the studies of vaccines in the past, such as Ebola, hepatitis, and HIV, deserve for us to preserve their life. The reason for giving apes this opportunity to receive vaccines is only to benefit us by maintaining their life. Many may agree with Kirk that these animals are taking away vaccines from people who need it the most. The order by which people receive the vaccine has been a huge controversy. Another argument that is presented is that if these apes haven't received vaccines before we came on this earth, why do they need it from us now? In general, the first vaccine was given to apes was mainly for the purpose of protecting us, humans. Now, scientists say that the great ape population is expected to be completely gone by 2050, only 30 years in our future when many of us turn 46 years old. Access. The reason why apes have never needed vaccines in the past, before our existence, is directly because of our existence in their world. They are becoming extinct, and it is our duty to protect them and provide them with this to prevent their extinction. At the beginning of the release of the COVID vaccine, there were 17,000 testing sites, and now there are close to 40,000, with one being within every 5 miles of every person. Showing the access one has shows that this opportunity to get vaccinated is not being taken away by these apes. The Twitter statement that apes were getting the chance to get vaccinated before veterans and senior citizens is not true. The first vaccine was given to a senior citizen 60 days before an ape received an experimental vaccine, completely different from the one received by humans. As stated in Laudato Si, the Catholic Church's general opinion on the care of animals, Christian thought sees human beings as possessing a particular dignity above other creatures, meaning that humans come before animals. In the sense of vaccines, this means that humans should have access to the vaccines before animals, which has always been the case. The Church also states that animals are God's creation and that we should protect them. As stated in the Church exactly, every act of cruelty towards any creature is contrary to human dignity. As stated before, scientists and researchers have put out that apes are expected to go extinct by 2050, along with many other creatures. It brings up the question, how much do we really care? By providing these vaccines, we can hopefully prevent the extinction of animals further than apes and keep them around longer. These apes have provided us with so many things, especially vaccines, to help us humans. What can you do? To help and protect these animals, you can sign petitions online and educate yourself, your friends, and your family on the realities of these animals receiving the vaccine. Apes' habitats are being invaded to harvest palm oil from these animals' homes by simply checking the ingredients before you buy can help save an orangutan's life. In addition, looking for products made from sustainable sources can protect the forest in which these apes live. Materials used from your cell phones and electronics are gathered and mined from gorillas' habitats in the Dominican Republic. By doing your part to recycle these devices, it will help to reduce the demand for these materials and help protect gorillas' habitats.